Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my review of Finding Dory, Pixar's 17th instalment feature-length animated film, and the sequel to 2003's Finding Nemo, Pixar's 5th animated film. Now this film, let's be honest here, this one is not as good as the first one. It's not even that close. But it's still a really good film. Well, it's close, but it's not that close. It's not like Toy Stories 1 and 2 are so close to each other. Some people would probably argue 3. Personally, I would just say 1 and 2. Or Incredibles 1 and 2 being so close to each other. But this, not quite these ones, but I'd definitely say Finding Dory is a great film in its own rights. The plot sees Dory starting to remember the fact that she has parents and she has to go and look for them. So she, Marlin and Nemo have to ride to California to try and find Dory's parents. Dory is then accidentally gets taken to a marine life hospital, where she tries to find her parents. Meanwhile, Nemo and Marlin have to find their way inside to help her. They eventually reunite for a short while, but then are separated again, and then Dory finds her parents, and then she has to rescue Nemo and Marlin, and then she herself has to be rescued, get herself out of the situation after that. So that's the plot of Finding Dory, and as you can tell, already it's not quite as good as Finding Nemo, but it is off to a good start. It's got some great stuff. The characters are all really likeable, and I like Dory as a main character in this film. I think she works better here as the main character of this instalment as opposed to Mater in Cast 2. I think he did well as the main character there, but I think Dory does even better here as the main character. And the same with Incredibles 2, with Helen Parr taking a more central role in with that film. I guess the side characters take a bit more of a central role in the sequels, apart from Toy Story, where Woody and Buzz are very equal across all 3 films, and also Cars 3 when McQueen takes more centre stage back, and Monsters Inc. when they kind of swap more or less. But yeah, the story is still really good. I like Dory's interactions with Hank, the octopus. I would like to know why he was so annoyed with the ocean. Why he didn't want to go back. They say he said he doesn't like the ocean. It's a nasty place, and he's also lost one of his tentacles. I would have liked them to go into a bit more detail about that. Why Hank didn't want to go back to the ocean. Maybe they were going to explain something a bit later on. Maybe he was going to explain to Dory, but we never actually find out. We don't actually know why he's scared of the ocean. At the end, he goes back to the ocean because he's trying to help Dory, and he's still quite cranky to be there, but we don't know why. And to be honest, if they wrote in why, if they had a reason, then maybe he could have had a bit more of a character development to then eventually feel a bit more when he goes back to the ocean. He's like, okay, I'm not exactly happy to be here, but oh well. I'll just try to make the best of the situation. But as we don't find out the character's development, we do have some development of the character, but it's not as much as, say, if we knew his backstory and it went nearly full circle, semicircle, in a way. I think the closest thing we get is Dory persuading him to just keep swimming in the rock pool, and then later him having to save her a couple of times and save Marlin and Nemo a couple of other times as well. So, yeah. Also, I like the sea lions. They're funny in the few scenes they get, and I'm not sure why they torment that other sea lion, but it's still quite amusing to watch them doing this stuff. And also, the bird Becky, she's also very funny. And the clam creature. I think there was a scene cut between featuring Marlin and Nemo, between speaking to the clam and getting into the pipes, when they're then reunited with Dory. but oh well, I guess. And I also like the two whales, one of Destiny and what's his name? Bailey. Destiny and Bailey, and also the reason Dory gets to reunite with Destiny, she goes into a bucket of fish for her to eat. God only knows what the kids and the tour guides were thinking, where the visitors and the tour guides were thinking if they saw Destiny talking with a little blue fish in her tank at the back of the tank. Also, I think the bits when Dory gets separated from Marlin and Nemo the second time, she goes down a drain and back into the ocean, and then because of her short-term memory, she's confused and doesn't know what to do, and she just the pacing kind of slows down. The story kind of grinds to a bit of a halt for her to just try and do this until she comes up with a plan. And then all she does is find some shells and remembers a bit more, and eventually finds her parents. So the story does come to a little bit of a slight halt just before she finds her parents, because the character has memory loss. Granted, the character has memory loss problems, and it would be tricky, but at the same time, the story kind of grinds to a halt for about a minute or two before she, certainly before she finds the shells, but definitely before she finds her parents again. So it was quite nice. But the fact that the fish implied that they may have died, that was pretty dark. So the film could have gone either way and kept with that, or done the secret reveal, which is what I kind of expected and also sort of hoped would be the case. But also a darker ending would probably have worked just as well, but it just wouldn't have been as much of a happy ending unless Dory realised Nemo and Marlin were her family, which she does learn in the final cut, but would learn more so here. But it probably would have been a bit too much of a sad ending, so going this way is probably the best way, especially for a children's film. And also the final stuff with the truck, after rescuing Marlin and Nemo, Dory gets trapped again. I think that's just padding it out a little bit. We've got kind of she has to rescue her friends, but then she gets stuck. So I think we could have not worried about that. I think she just could have helped her friends escape, and the octopus could have helped her get back there without having to go to Cleveland. But no, that doesn't happen. Instead, they have to drive the car, which is a nice nod to how they were driving a pram a bit early on in the film, and they have to crash the truck back into the ocean. But I think it would have been a lot easier if they just went straight back into the ocean and not worried about circumstances. True, the guys were closing the van's doors, but this is fiction. You could end it any other way. So it could have ended a bit sooner, and it could have been a bit differently. But how it was still a very good film. I apologise for any noise outside. So, Finding Dory, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It is very good and got some very sweet moments, and it's another good one to show children to develop family relationships and maybe friend relationships as well. But compared to the first film, it's not quite a classic, and even as a movie itself, whilst it's got some great moments, it's not 100% perfect, unlike the first one. But then again, I've only just seen Finding Dory once before doing this review, but it's still a really good film. You can probably tell it's a really good film after just one or two watchings, although some cases it does change a bit. But definitely not quite as much of a classic as the first film, but certainly another great instalment, and also it's be great to get both, and it's great to watch both, maybe back to back if you've got the time. I mean, both together, they're just over 3 hours, including the credits. And there's some very funny post-credit scenes at the end of both films. With the first one, it's Anchor's friend eating the anglefish. A little bit of a surprise. And the second one sees the tank gang from the first film arrive in California and then getting rescued by the marine people, and also the other seal getting to get onto the rock. So that's all quite funny. And yeah, so that's Finding Dory. Thank you for watching. Next time we'll be looking at PIXAR's 19th animated feature film, Coco. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nick Payne Extra YouTube channel. But I also was... but also I would have... True, the guys that with the van were closing the doors. You must be joking.